Awesome.
All right.
Well, welcome, folks, and feel free to put stuff in the chat. For those that watch the recording, of course, hello, and you can put comments into the post as well and respond to them there. But Slaw, what are we talking about here today? I forget.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sorry everyone for the LinkedIn live thing didn't work out as we planned, but yeah, so the topic is how we fell into coaching. ICF
Right.
style of coaching, um, which is something that we want to explore a little bit and hopefully if you are interested into coaching, you might find this insightful.
Awesome. ICF style. Why didn't you just say coaching? I'm curious what's
Yeah.
going on there.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's the thing that before um, falling into the coaching or I didn't I didn't really have an idea about like ICF, the International Coach Federation. It's almost like if you're a PM, like let's say project manager, and you never heard of
Right.
PMI, people would think, okay, well, you may not really be serious about the
Project
advancing
man.
your or
Yeah.
project manager because every sort of profession has some sort of a collective or an association or some group that help advance the profession and refine uh, the skills of the practitioner. So again, just like Agile space or other groups where collectively we try to help each other grow. ICF is established to help coaches grow and uh, sort of have this path of going through certain levels of credentials.
Oh, so it's a certification play. Is that what it is?
Yeah, certification. Yeah, yeah. It's that's the sort of the again the debate, and we've fell into
Oh,
this debate with every um, profession. I know we both come from like the agile coaching and team coaching and facilitation, and certification can be a turn off for some people.
2
Um,
days of agile training. That's all you need, right?
Yeah, and that's I think that's a good point to maybe point out as we go through this is we all know that there is certification that you know or at least in my opinion there is certification of uh, maybe confirming that you have the knowledge or you attend a class and you get a certification at the end of the class, knowledge based certification, let's call them. And then there is also more of a mastery based or practitioner based certification. So you actually have to practice and have evidence that you've practiced, plus
Right.
the experience that you build in order to earn the certification or the credentials. So
Awesome.
I think those are two different views or of certification.
I agree. Right. So I also teach the 2 day certification thing and the 3 day certification thing with the IC Agile classes. And I think they're awesome, but they don't even require a test. Um, it's more sort of informational, though you get to practice and all that kind of stuff. But ICF training is like one of those things where, when you come out of that, you really have to know what you're doing to get that credential, and it's a
Mhm.
real mark of coaching. Uh, you know, it reminds me of like I think we both had that same experience though. Like I'm a coach, right? Anybody can call themselves an agile coach, a life coach, any kind of coach. So soccer coach. Actually, for soccer coach, you have to like have a background check and all that. If it's got kids and you got to go
Yeah.
through a course, as it turns out. But yeah. So I remember when I started, I was getting paid as a coach, right back in like I don't know, well, like a long time ago, years ago. And I was an agile coach, and I was getting paid well for it, and people would hire me, and they never actually asked me if I had a credential. But so where I sort of really, first heard about professional coaching was where I think many Agile folks start is Lisa Adkins with her book, coaching Agile teams. I remember at the time when that came out, before it came out, for me, I was like talking Agile at people, right? And
Mm.
I'd say, story points and user stories and sprints, and people were like nonsense and gibberish. Like, oh man, right? So it was like this will solve all your problems, and it was just like something missing. And then I read Lisa's book, and there was like this suggestion of what professional coaching means. The profession of coaching, like the group of people that have spent a lot of time figuring out like what is the way to use coaching, regardless of whether it's agile or soccer or life
Mm.
coaching or whatever. And that was just a first inkling. So, and then I went and took the first ICF course. I took an ICF course with I forget who it was exactly, International Coaching Academy. Um, but you actually had a closer experience with Lisa, when we were first talking about it. I know I read the book.
Yeah.
I hadn't met her yet, but you,
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny we the way that we phrased this title of this session, how
oh,
we
how we
fell
fell into it.
into
Yeah.
coaching, because it wasn't planned for me. It wasn't planned as I know for you as well, because we kind of stumbled upon professional coaching. So for me, I sort of, again, I was working with a team or trying to help them with product delivery and practices and from the agile space. And then a lot of times I felt like, okay, this, it's not landing with the group. As you pointed out, Damon, here you should do this or you should do that, or maybe this is the right way to do it. Um, and a lot of times people will come to a coach or a practitioner and ask, okay, we have this problem and we have this issue. Um, can you tell us what to do? And then obviously, as consultants or practitioners or people with experience, we will tell them, okay, here's what you need to do. Here's what you should set up this board. You should make things visible. All the stuff that we know from iterative development or agile process. Um, but then they would go back and say, "Oh, this we tried this before," or "That doesn't work," or this is not how we want to do this. Um, so I again, the message or the wasn't really landing, and so I was looking for other ways to
Weren't
propose.
weren't you like weren't you, I think when we were talking about this, you mentioned part of it was you were working at an engagement with a bunch of people and it wasn't
Mhm.
there was like a specific place where it wasn't working.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a specific place, not to be mentioned.
No, 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 no. But I mean, but
Yeah,
it was basically like part of the idea too, the program,
yeah,
sort of behind this that,
yeah.
that of course we would love people to check out. You know, leading through coaching in technology is
Mhm.
the idea of as a leader using coaching. And so there was like the part of the environment was that
Yeah,
you were leading, but not using coaching.
right.
So,
Yeah,
I'd love to
using
hear that again.
mostly using you know, um, advising or telling, right? Um,
Mm,
I know consulting sometimes can um, we can say consulting is telling people what to do, but there is aspects of coaching as we know. But the thing is, I when I ran into all these different issues or let's say maybe resistance, people don't obviously we all don't really like when someone tell us here's what you need to do or here's what you should do.
right.
I started to look into other ways, uncover better ways, if you will. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so I uh, ran into uh, Coactive. Coactive was the coaching, school or training that I started, and I wanted to just see what coaching was about. So I signed up. They have a series of like 6 five or six courses. And
Well, wasn't that after you took Lisa's course though?
yeah, yeah. To step back a little, I first um, started with IC Agile, so I went to through their um, you know first their Agile facilitation course, and that was at the time was Marsha Aker and Ahmed Sidqi who facilitated this course, and then I wanted to continue. So the next course was Agile team coaching, and that was with Lisa and Michael Spade at the time. So
So you got the real deal. I just got like the book, but you
yeah,
got the full experience. Like I
yeah,
stumbled over the book, but you
right,
stumbled over Lisa Adkins.
yeah, yeah. No, I saw what coaching um, can do or can be like, at least from attending the 3 day class at the time. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, I really want to coach like this, right? And obviously, Lisa wrote the book, and she has attended or trained as a co-active coach as well. So
So
she,
that's where that came from. So
yeah,
that's why you decided to go with the most expensive program on the planet. I get it now. Yeah.
yeah,
Very good program. Nothing,
yeah.
no criticism.
Right. Yeah. It's I think again, like the practice and sort of finding where you need to improve. That's what a good training would do, like, to sort of raise the awareness. Regardless, I mean, obviously, some training can cost more than other training, but again, the idea is that you have the opportunity to learn and practice. It's not like just sitting in a class or a lecture and watching a presentation or slides. You actually get to practice coaching. You have these tools. Gradually, you test these tools during the courses or the course, and then you feel like at the end of the course that you actually have built some skills, even at the the level of
You know,
uh, consciously competent or consciously incompetent in some respect, because
yeah, you become conscious that you're incompetent, and then you're consciously competent.
right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I never was conscious that I was incompetent, but I understand the idea, right?
I mean, that's the thing. That's the first step, and I think that's the thing with coaching as well. And when you work with a coach or work with someone who may be a trained coach or have experience in coaching, they there are questions that they ask can, or the space that they can provide can help you become aware. And
You know
basically
what?
that's what the class did. And in the beginning, I thought I was coaching. I thought I had the coaching teams and experience working with teams for a long time. But it wasn't coaching because, again, like we took the term coach and sort of blended or combine it with agile. So it's agile coach, and that means different things to different people.
Abs- Absolutely. So that reminds me. Uh, so you were talking about how you learn things. You didn't use the word blind spot, but you had some blind spots. Right? We all have areas that maybe we could benefit from, but we don't actually know what they are, right? So if there's some skill you don't have,
Mm,
and you're not aware of it, it's kind of hard to say I'm missing it, right? Because you don't know what
yeah.
it's like to use it. Um, and one of the things I like to do is to talk about that contrast. Like, and in this context, I think also, talking about leadership would be good. What are some common things that leaders do that's sort of more of a not coaching thing? It's a managing thing. It's not a bad thing. It might be a consulting thing. But then, what's the contrast with coaching to show, both the benefit of ICF style coaching, but also that there's a different way to manage. So, for instance, one of my favorite examples is paraphrasing.
Mm,
Right? We've all learned that paraphrasing is a good management tool. It helps clarify. Like, is this what you meant? It helps to show, the whole in your own words helps to show, I heard what you said, I internalized it, I get it. And the only way I could do that is because I was listening. I care. That said, you might
Yeah.
not care. You might be just like, I must paraphrase. I heard these things. I get what you're saying. I don't think that they make any sense, but I'm gonna show that I listened. Um, so it definitely, and I'm not saying that that's how people do it, but from a coaching perspective, there's different ways to get that. I heard you. I'm listening. I care. I understand. Um, and so, for example, by using something like more like reiterating, which is actually repeating the exact words back, but not all of them. Uh, a bunch of things happen, right? With paraphrasing, some of the bad things that happen are when you use a different word, it makes the person have to interpret, what did they say? Is that what I meant? Is that related? I don't understand. Why did you use that word? Why did you
Mm.
say capacity instead of ability? Was there something wrong with me using the word ability? So it can slow things down. It takes a long time. It can get people off track. Like whatever it was you were talking about before I started talking, I don't remember what it was. Right. So if I'm paraphrasing, whatever the coachee
That's
was
why we
thinking before I
recorded
started.
this. We can listen
Yeah.
together.
That's why I recorded. So whatever the coachee was thinking before we started paraphrasing is gone.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So the coaching thing is, maybe the person says a whole bunch of stuff like, this, that, and the other about the product owner, this, that, and the other thing about the scrum master and the manager and the retrospective and et cetera. And you're like, wow, that's a lot. I wonder, what they want to focus on. So you might say, hey, I heard you talk about the product owner, scrum master, the retrospective, and the manager. What would you really like to talk about today?
Yeah.
And then they might go, oh, that was a lot of stuff. What do I want to talk about? Wow. I think all these people need training. Oh my God. I got to figure out, how do I get them to take training? Which was not it wasn't exactly where they started from, but how could you get a person to be like, oh my God, if you hadn't been listening, hadn't been understanding, hadn't been caring, right? So it's an example of an alternate that works well, from a coaching perspective that is different than what we might have normally learned.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as you were talking, the thing that I am thinking about is like the idea of slowing down. Like, a lot of times, I think of this metaphor often, and I think this is actually something that sometimes in leadership training they do. Like if you are running, a path, and you're regularly running on that path, you're running at a speed where you don't really notice things, right? Let's say if you slow down and start to walk, and just you start to see things that you may have not noticed before, right? And obviously if you're not looking at the phone or you have the phone away, you start to notice things even more, right? So again, it's really, the idea of slowing down can be powerful, but at the same time, it's not very popular, especially nowadays with all the speed and with AI,
Absolutely.
AI will make things even at a higher speed than we've ever.
Was that 10
Um,
minutes to AI mentioned? First AI mentioned? That's
yeah, I
that's
have to use the buzzwords so that we can
uh
get more views. No, I'm just kidding. I think that I think what I'm trying to say is like the idea of slowing down can be very that there may be a pushback on kind of slowing down because we
oh,
always are
absolutely.
operating at a higher speed. And what you're saying is like, okay, when you slow down, you start to notice things, you start to think about things, and maybe as you reflect back or rephrase what the person said, they didn't even, because
It
their
didn't
their
even,
their their
yeah.
brain is running at 100 miles per hour. They don't even hear what they're. saying anymore.
It's amazing how many times as a coach you say something like my favorite is one of my favorites is somebody will ask a question. It's of themselves, and then you just ask the question that they just said, and they're like, "Oh, that's a good question. Hey, that's, thanks for that." And it's like, well, I just repeated your own question to yourself. You didn't seem to notice it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I didn't think I was talking about slowing down. It's interesting that that's what you heard there, and that's definitely an aspect of it. But also a good example, like that's not what I was hearing. But you're right. The funny thing also is you said something that you can be trained is to slow down. But was that like in coach training? That doesn't sound like management 101. Management 101 is kind of like
Yeah.
go go go. It seems like
Yeah.
because whenever, it seems like whenever you get somebody that's sort of like high powered, whatever that A type personality is that comes into class. I remember I was doing a coaching demo with somebody and I slowed down and they just kept talking. And at the end I asked for, what was the takeaway? And she said, well, it just felt like you just didn't want to talk. And so I felt I better fill in the space. And it's like, well,
Mm.
okay. But that's
Yeah.
right. So people aren't used to it. It
Yeah.
is awkward. But the thing is, if you have something to say right away, how could it possibly be well considered or thoughtful or new or thought provoking or whatever? Because it's like if I ask you your name, what's your name? You're going to say Salah right away. You didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to come up with anything
Mm.
creative. Right. So when we
Yeah.
answer right away, it can't possibly be creative.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny when you get people, including coaches, to slow down, it's like their brain is like, finally, you're
Yeah.
gonna use me, right? And they come
Yeah.
out with something and they're like, whoa, where'd that come from? It's like, well, I guess you
Yeah.
just haven't had that experience before.
Mm.
So another,
Yeah.
another example of what coaching can do is I'm not saying people and managers aren't thought provoking, but if you haven't had the experience and been in an environment or taken the training that helps you ask questions that are thought provoking, it can happen, but it's not going to be that thing you were talking about with the conscious,
Incompetence or competence.
the conscious confidence, right? It might
Mm.
happen, but it's not through
Yeah.
intent.
Yeah.
So those
And
those are those are three things, right? We got the asking powerful questions instead of paraphrasing, the slowing down, and I don't know what the third one was, but at least two. What
yeah.
what else are some differences in coaching?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why like one of the reasons I again went with the sort of the ICF style, and there are many other. I know you mentioned the academy, coaching academy, international coaching academy. There's ICF. Obviously, that's one of the biggest ones or more established, at least in the U.S. and I think all over the world as well. But it's having the structure, having the there are some skills or in the coaching lingo from ICF lingo, so they called markers or these are competencies the that as a new coach or someone who is trying to refine their coaching skills, they look at these and they can practice. But again, it's almost like if I'm doing this on myself, if I were to do this on myself, it would be very very hard, very difficult. It's almost like I always wanted to learn how to uh, to build things like carpenting, become more of a carpenter, and I can go to a local store, Home Depot or some other store, and buy all the tools that I find. But then ask me to build a table or something, and I don't know which tool to use to do what, right? And exactly that's sort of like, okay, you can look at all these competencies of coaching and see, oh yeah, silence. Okay, I'm gonna be silent and not say anything during the session or open powerful question. I'm gonna just ask questions as a I'm interrogating the person. Like there's and technologists and developers they know this too. Like there is a tool for things depending on what you want to do, right? I mean, again, I'm gonna bring AI for the second time here because, again, there are too many platforms.
It's two for you.
Every day, there's a new thing coming up. But again, what is the purpose? Like, you have to use the right tool depending on the purpose. And so that's the thing is, if we go back to the topic that we're trying to discuss here, is like the ICF provides a structure, provide the list of capability or competencies and markers, and then you have to go through sort of a rigorous program, whether it's through coactive or with Damon
Facilitivity.
facilitivity, right? Damon,
Yeah.
and IC Academy. Like there are a lot of different programs out there, but having a structure and having someone who is experienced, and then you work with a mentor in order to test and improve your coaching skills.
When you went to the competencies, that reminded me of another example. You were talking about structure. And I remember when I went through the coaching and learned them, there were a lot of sort of like, oh, you know, maybe I would have thought of that, but you get to benefit from the years and years and years of knowledge that's been built up in coaching, and one that's right at the beginning of the ICF markers,
Mm,
which can feel like a checklist, but it's not, is, four parts of getting a coaching agreement. And, conversationally, it can be awkward, like, hey, Salah, it's great to be out to dinner with you. What would you like to accomplish by the end of our dinner?
mm.
Be like, what? Like,
Yeah.
look at the time. I forgot I had another appointment.
Mm,
But if you think about as a manager, you're having a one-on-one, and like there's like the stated topic for the meeting,
mm,
and you start a conversation. Like the person says, "Oh, I want to figure out how to get promoted in this company."
mm,
Okay, so you start talking about, their work and their background and the company, and then next thing you know, the hour's over. I was like, "Hey, thanks for that information." Right. So we're very used to, as people, having unstructured conversations.
mm,
Right. You go out to dinner, and we ended up talking about this, which reminded me of that. Or, but coaching is like, hey, we're here for a reason. And yeah, we have the topic. But what would you like to accomplish in this time? And finding a way to ask it, where it doesn't feel awkward is challenging. But so in that example I gave, the person might say, "Oh, well, just wanted to get a better sense of where I should try to, what role I should try to get promoted into. Like, what would be a good role for me?"
mm,
Oh, right. So that's something we could focus on, and maybe in, say, an hour, uh, figure out, what they feel like would be a good role for them. Right. So it's like, it seems like a small thing, but all these things add up. And when you put them all together, it's amazing what can come out in an hour. The person is really surprised. They're like, that was amazing. And just one more thing on that reminds me. So when Julian and I were putting our book together, we have some sample scripts of coaching conversations, and one of the reviewers said on one of them, you might let people know that this is just in the book and it never happens in this amount of time. And I thought, okay, so maybe it hasn't happened for you yet, right? So,
yeah.
right, so there's all these things combined where seemingly miraculous things can happen in a very short period of time.
Mm,
So that's sort of the structure, how things can, one of the things that's different from management, and the kind of results that using ICF style coaching can bring, that just having a conversation doesn't necessarily have,
yeah.
as easily.
Yeah, and you remind me of the coaching as a skill and coaching as a role. Like, we were talking a lot about
Mm.
coaching as a role. Like, you are a coach and you're helping a client or someone, a team member, with a specific topic that they're, basically they're coming to the coaching. There's a designed sort of alliance, if you will, or designed um, engagement for coaching. It's not just a off the cuff thing, but there is also the coaching as a skill, which I think you alluded to earlier with the managers or leaders. They can pull some of the coaching skills in their conversation. Someone come to a leader or a manager with a problem, instead of taking it on and solving it for them, they can ask coaching questions that can help the person find ways to solve it for themselves, right? Um, so again, that structure can be, helpful whether you're a coach, working with clients one on one or working with a team, and it could also be helpful if you're a leader or a manager to have that structure where there's helping the person focus, find the problem, and then maybe help the person brainstorm ideas on how they might solve this problem, and then at the end build some accountability to follow up, right? It's not just oh, that was a good conversation. Okay, well, thank you, and that's it.
Yeah,
There's also that accountability piece at the end, like, okay, what will you do with what we talked about now? What will be the next step? Otherwise, coaching can feel more like yeah, it is a good conversation, friendly conversation, but then,
I feel better.
yeah, it's a feel good thing, and then you're not challenged. And that's part of coaching, is to challenge the person to develop and grow. And that was sort of how I fell into it. Because first because I wanted to someone to challenge me and to develop and grow, as working when I work with a coach, and working um, during the coaching training, you get to work with your instructors or leaders. You will get to work with your colleagues or peers in the training, and then you also get to work with a mentor coach or a supervisor, depending on the program. So you get to really get coached a lot, right? And then you also coach
That's true.
others, right? So you get to coach others, and that's your practice.
So, just to go back to challenging for a minute, because you brought that up, and I think people hear the word challenging in a couple of different ways, right? So let me challenge you, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what people are expecting. Like as a manager, it's like, let me challenge you to have a stretch goal.
Mm.
And I've gotten some of those sometimes. I'm like, this just means work extra time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Right. So when we talk about challenge as a coach, we don't mean that kind of challenge. We mean you came to coaching, right? For some reason, you didn't come to coaching just to like stay where you are. So part of the coach's role is to find out what sort of ways people want to be challenged, and then just hold them to that. Like, so I'm hearing the goal that you came up with, and I'm comparing that to what you said about what you wanted to accomplish, and I'm just wondering, is that the level of progress you were looking for?
Mm.
Right? It's kind of like, hey, let's look in the mirror, and you look in the mirror, and you're like, oh, geez, yeah, that's not okay. Right? So it's kind of the same challenge a mirror gives you, as opposed, like, if your mirror was like, your hair is a mess, and you need to change that shirt, you'd be like, I'm getting a different mirror. This mirror sucks.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like, you know, uh, uh, we all are able to act as mirrors for people, but coaching is, for a lot of these things, it's bringing that level up of skill up to a very high level of proficiency, where you've basically practiced, you've drilled, you've gotten feedback on it, you've practiced some more, and it's kind of like the difference between you talk to this one person and they listen to you and they clearly care. And another person is like, oh, I know what you need. You're like, no, you don't, because I
Yeah.
really wanted you to listen to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a conversation recently with an MCC Master Certified Coach, who
Ooh,
basically have a usually at the ICF level of MCC, you have 2,500 plus hours, and a bunch, hundreds of hours of training. But he sort of gave me this language about coaching at the tactical level and coaching at the transformational level, right? So
Ooh,
not everybody comes into coaching wanting to be transformed, or I want to be a better, person,
make me
or
an Olympic skier,
yeah, exactly.
gold
Yeah,
medal
yeah,
level.
gold medal level. Someone might just come with a problem, like, I have this problem, and have a, there's a my I'm a manager, and the performance evaluation conversation is coming up, where annual performance review is coming up, and I just don't know how to have this conversation with this person who may not be, living up to the role, or whatever. So that's a difficult conversation that I want to have, and I want to explore how I might have this conversation with a coach or someone. Right? So that's very tactical, very maybe, the coaching questions and the space the coach will provide will help, um, get more clarity on how, what they want to get out of the conversation. Um, so just to again, like, not every time someone comes to coaching, they're gonna sort of
Yeah.
leave in the, I'm gonna be a, a gold medal Olympian,
Oh,
right? So
yeah.
it depends on the purpose, and on the readiness of the person coming to the coaching.
And most people aren't showing up thinking that, gold medal level is even something that a coach can help them get to.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
thanks for the reminder. We are uncovering better ways. Absolutely.
yeah.
Like that's part of what a coach does is we're helping you uncover, better ways for yourself. So we're
Mm.
we're getting kind of close to time here. I think, maybe we just go through like closing arguments, if you will, and then rest the case. But I don't know, probably been watching too many,
Too many.
courtroom dramas.
Yeah.
But so my sort of closing thoughts are, I was just having a coaching call with a client, and they're a young tech lead. Like they just moved into tech lead, and they signed up, and then they were like, I think I'm going to cancel. Uh, and it was interesting. So they said they were having problems with delegating, and then so basically the conversation we had was, you know, taking on coaching is actually an example of delegating,
Mm.
right? You're delegating some of that, I need to improve in areas. I need to find my blind spots to another person who is an expert in that area. Um, right. So as agilists or consultants or experts, you know, we're in for those of us that are, we're experts in change management. Right? That's what we do. Most people don't wake up in the morning going, I want to change the world, right? They may think, I want to change, this area, or I want to get my work done, who knows? But change management, agile coaches, and, we wake up thinking, I want to change the world. I want to bring agile to, it's a manifesto, right? At the end of the day, the agile manifesto. It's not like the agile statement.
Mm.
Um, so that's what we're expert in is and when it comes to professional coaching, what professional coaches are expert in is helping people see themselves, find their blind spots, understand their strengths, leverage their strengths, find areas to learn and grow. Like that's something that anybody can do, but are you yourself an expert in that area? A coach is, right? So working with a coach basically is a way to have them focus on all of that and you focus on what you're good at, your skills, your areas of expertise, and to become basically the most capable version of you that you could be. And of course, you can do that on your own, but with a coach, it can happen faster.
Mm.
I think I need
You,
more coaching,
you
actually,
rest
now
you
that I
rest
think
my
about it.
case. You rest your
Oh, I rest your case too.
you rest my.
Well, anyway, those
No,
were
I'm
just
just no.
those are my final thoughts. But
Yeah,
what
yeah. No,
what what are you thinking about?
I think one of the things that I learn in coach training in the beginning of the one of the lead coaches in the program was saying, like, we the coach doesn't solve the person's problem, right? They help them grow so that they can solve their own problem, right? And that's the paradox here is that people come to a coach or with a problem, and then the I heard another perspective where people don't really care about coaching, which is true. They care about solving their problem, how coaching will solve their problem, right? So again, that's sort of this the dynamic of um, I come to coaching because the coach might be able to help solve my problem, and at the same time the coach perspective is I'm not here to solve your problem, you are the one that to solve your own problem. um, so here's where it gets a little sticky. I think designing the alliance earlier on to understand what the person is coming with, and still don't, like, as a coach, we don't have to sort of ignore or forget all the experience we have. We can still offer some insights, again, given that we're not attached to the advisor telling the coach, the person, what to do. So that's the thing, is balancing those two sort of perspectives. Yes, I'm not solving your problem. I am helping you see it clearly or see it from a different perspective so that you're able to maybe find ways to solve it yourself. But at the same time, I can offer you some suggestions, and if something um, help in that process, that is okay too. Um, so I guess that's my my final
Final,
thoughts. Yeah.
final. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So a couple thoughts. You jiggled loose for me, and then we can close up. Is you mentioned we help people grow to solve the problem, and when I hear grow, it makes me think, oh, that'll take years. But the interesting thing is, people can actually grow within the span of a coaching conversation, right? Like yesterday, I was having this conversation, and that tech lead basically had a realization from the conversation about how they could um, give feedback to people differently. And it came from their own words. It was like, I have this problem, da, 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 da. And then he mentioned a solution, and then he walked right past it. And I was like, but you just said, like, what? So I was like, oh, I hear you saying this. I hear you saying that. And the first time he was like, yes, I said those things. And I was like, I wonder if there's something in this that would help with that. And he goes, oh, right? So he grew. It's like the Grinch, right?
Yeah.
And the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. Not that they were a Grinch. I'm doing all these mixed metaphors, but yeah, people can actually grow in the space of a coaching conversation. It doesn't have to be grow over the period of years. It's kind of amazing. And that
Mhm.
plant, by the way, I've not seen grow. I think you need to give it something, but
Yeah, I need to water it a little bit more.
all right. Well, I wonder, actually, before we close off, I wonder if there's any, questions from our large
Or
audience here
thoughts.
today. Uh, and then we'll close for sure.
So do you still today? What attracted me to this session was how we fell into ICF style coaching, um, and so I'm kind of curious today. Do you really consider yourselves as in your day to day practice? Are you agile coaching or are you professional coaching or both?
Yes. So the way I like to explain it is it's kind of like left-hand turns and right-hand turns. Very often when talking about professional coaching within Agile coaching, people hear, please stop making left-hand turns. And if I told you that as a driver, you'd be like, well, I'm not going to do that. Right. So it's a question of, you've got all these different tools. Which one makes sense in the moment? So
Mhm.
as an Agile coach, sometimes you're coaching, and that's professional coaching. Whether you're aware of it or not, it's still professional coaching. Um, and sometimes we're teaching. Sometimes we're mentoring, sometimes we're facilitating, which
Hmm.
is actually also coaching. So it's really just, it's really just what needs to be done in the moment. And very often when people come to us as an expert, they're actually not looking for us to talk at all. They're looking for us to take our magical, rubber stamp, take their plan and stick it on there. And that's all they really want. Right. So there's no advice or expertise coming out of that. It's listening and saying, hey, you sound very excited about this plan. What might be missing? Oh, nothing. I just wanted to see, what you thought. And it sounds like you think this is a good idea. So I'll see you later. And that's coaching. Yes, it's using your expertise, but very quietly. So by having that coaching hat on all the time, you can sort of route things like where should I route this? Which address should this go to? And in that case, it was just listening and saying, hey, you know, what might be missing? Nothing. And that's all
Mm.
there was there. Another time they might be like, I got all this work and it's really confusing. I can't keep control of it. And be like, well, what might you do there? I don't know. It feels like I've tried everything. Do you have anything? Well, have you heard of Kanban? No, what's that? Okay, now we're out of coaching.
Mm.
We're in the role of agile coaching, but and we've used a coaching mindset to get there, but now we're moving into expertise and that's
Mhm.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're pointing to this, it depends, consulting answer.
That's
It,
that's a consultant right there.
context.
It depends.
But I want to add another perspective. Over time we've all accumulated experience over time, like whatever work we've had or skills that we've acquired over time. So it's sort of what should I use? A hammer or a screwdriver, or like it depends on like Damon was saying earlier. But I usually try to find like which skill is relevant to the situation. Would professional coaching skills help in this instance, or would agile coaching be more helpful? Um, so again, I don't necessarily tie to a specific title. I'm a professional coach or I'm an agile coach. I'm a coach and I have some skills that I can pull depending on the context and the situation. Um, but again, in corporate engagement, we usually have to have some sort of a role that we're playing. So um, it could be an agile coach in one instance. I do one-on-one coaching with people. Mostly that's professional coaching, but when I work with teams, it's mostly more of the agile coaching with some professional coaching skills sprinkled on top.
That brings one more thought, and then we really could close. Very often, professional coaching gets connected to one-on-one coaching only, and that's not what Salah was saying, but
Yeah.
reminded me of it. So professional coaching can be used with teams and organizations as well. So, for instance, um, if you're working with a team and it seems like they should be using Scrum, we could say, "Oh, it seems like you should be using Scrum." Another thing we can do is say, hey, I'd love to talk to you about all the things that are available in the Agile community. Okay, what are they? Here they are. And for instance, one team I worked with after that, they said, oh, well, we want to be the product owner collectively. We'll do t-shirt sizing, use work in progress limits, meet every day, have a 1 hour retrospective every week. And that's what we'll do. And they did it. Like that's what they chose to do. So it was kind of like the coaching question of what would you like to do? Here's what's available. That's a coaching mindset. What would you like to do? That's coaching. And then facilitating, which is also a form of coaching, to come up with that results for the team. So it's kind of like that approach turned the team into one person that they then got the one-on-one coaching.
Mm.
So there's a lot of ways that you can use professional coaching. It doesn't have to be just one-on-one, but it's generally associated with one-on-one. It's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for the question, Jeff, and thank you for being here, Dave. and Salah as well, my partner in crime here. And if you'd like to learn more about this, you can check out facilitivity.com, or you can reach out to Salah or I, and happy to answer any questions. And yeah, we're gonna go take a professional
Wow.
LinkedIn live course next.
We're
But really, it's a product problem.
we're now consciously incompetent in
Yes,
LinkedIn.
it worked the first time.
Worked
Worked,
on my
you know.
machine.
Yeah, well, it was still my machine. But all right, take
All
it
right.
easy,
Have
everybody.
a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye.